The story of Godino Cayetano begins in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was born into a large family with 8 siblings. His parents, Fior Gordino and Lucia Rufo, were immigrants from Italy, Argentina, hoping for a better life. However, father quickly sank to alcoholism and became notorious for his violent temper and iron-fisted ways. Cayetano Godino grew up in a violent environment, witnessing and enduring beatings from his alcoholic father, and his father contracted syphilis before Cayetano was born, causing health problems throughout his childhood. During a medical examination, doctors discovered 27 scars on his head, with the promise of play or candy. In 1904, at just 8 years old, Cayetano committed his first known assault. The victim was Miguel Deoli, a child not yet 2 years old. Cayetano dragged Miguel into a field, where he brutally attacked the toddler and then casually threw him into a patch of bushes. A passing policeman witnessed the shocking scene and intervened. The following year, Cayetano continued his violent behavior by attempting to kill an 18-month-old girl named Anna by throwing stones at her. Another policeman witnessed this incident and took both Cayetano and Anna to the police station. Due to Cayetano's young age, no punishment was applied. Cayetano was released once again in 1906, at the tender age of just old. This time, he committed his first murder. Maria's parents were frantic and reported her missing, but the authorities were able to determine her fate. It wasn't until when Cayetano confessed to his crime that the horrifying truth. The police immediately tried to retrieve Maria's body, only to discover that a two-story house had been built over the spot where she was buried. Many years after Maria's death, there was a law prohibiting people from pleasuring themselves in the privacy of. For over 60 minutes, Steve kept driving, feeling increasingly anxious. However, when he arrived home and didn't find her there, a sense of dread overwhelmed Steve and his family. Cayetano convinced little Srino Gonzalez, age 2, to go with him with the promise of and treats. He lured the toddler into an abandoned warehouse, where he cruelly put in a horse trough. Coincidentally, the building was nearby and heard the struggle. The building owner, though suspicious, lacked confidence to accuse Cayetano. The young boy, with his innocent face and naive, managed to convince everyone of his claiming that a strange woman had attacked Srino and then fled. This incident not only left the local residents feeling uneasy, but also marked a dark chapter in Cayetano, highlighting the ruthless nature and cunning intelligence of a boy just 9 years old. According to Cayetano's story, he arrived just in time to chase away a violent woman dressed in black, the child from certain death. When the police were called, Cayetano recounted the same tale with an innocent face, causing them to believe without any investigation and let him go. However, just 6 days later, Cayetano committed another horrifying crime. He burned the eyelids of a 22-month-old child with a cigarette. The child's screams alerted the mother, who rushed to the scene, but Cayetano already disappeared by the time she arrived. Cayetano was never officially caught, but his cruel actions left an indelible scar on the community. At this point, Cayetano's parents couldn't bear it anymore. They didn't believe his stories about a mysterious woman in black roaming around terrorizing children. their worries when they discovered a small box under Cayetano's bed filled with the corpses of family pets. Consequently, his parents decided to take Cayetano to the police station and seek assistance from the authorities. Subsequently, the boy was sent to a reform camp where he endured brutal physical punishment and had to undergo hard labor for 3 years. Finally, Cayetano returned home just in time for Christmas on December 23, 1911, when he had just turned 15 years old. Although he had found a new job, within just under 3 months, Cayetano lost it again, returning to the dark streets. With his deep understanding of the city, he knew all the deserted places and abandonings, choosing the perfect locations to execute his sinister schemes. Alcohol began to dominate Cayetano's life, accompanied by increasingly severe headaches, fueling. On January 17, 1912, a fierce fire broke out in a warehouse on Cora Street. When questioned about this incident, Godino had to reveal the dark secret he had kept hidden. That fire was just, he uttered that infamous quote with chilling indifference, "I like to see firemen, nice to see how they fall into the fire." But Godino's nightmare didn't just stop at Ames. Less than a week later, the body of Arturo Laurora, a 13-year-old boy, was discovered. However, the possibility that Carly had fallen victim to foul play still lingered. When Carly's classmates returned to school the next morning, they found her seat empty, and officials had deployed tracking dogs to. Afterward, Cayetano continued to use a fig tree to beat him when he grew tired of it. Unable to bear it any longer, he strangled him before leaving behind a scene of agony and brutality. On March 7th of that same year, Raina, a 5-year-old girl, was curiously admiring shoes on a store shelf. Suddenly, she began to scream in pain and terror. A villainous individual had set fire to her dress. A nearby police officer rushed over. Cayetano was present in the crowd, witnessing everything that unfolded. 8 months later, though they had to let Cayetano go, the police kept a close watch on him. They grew increasingly suspicious as he was always present at the crime scenes with strange explanations about why he was there. Children needed help. Since the victims were all young children, the police couldn't get accurate testimonies. All they could do was wait for him to slip up. On the morning of December 3, 1912, Mrs. Maria Giordano, a neighbor of the Gordino family, told her son he could go outside. She needed to do some chores, so she grabbed the red ball. That morning, Cayetano was harshly scolded by his father. As he stormed out of the house into a gloomy, he saw 3-year-old Gesualdo playing ball with the other kids in the neighborhood. Instantly knew what he wanted to do. Cayetano blended in with the group of children and lured Gesualdo to come with him. They held hands as they left the neighborhood and eventually stopped at the general store to buy the promised sweets. According to Cayetano, he gave the boy a small piece of candy, the promise of more later, and led him to an abandoned construction site. As they approached